What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. Now, this one's coming a little bit late, but it fits in just fine with all the other stories. Today, we're continuing on X-Men's Age of Revelation with Longshots issue number 1. Now, this comic is relatively interesting. This is really kind of a deep cut for those old X-Men fans. All of this has to deal with the Mojoverse and everything else in between. The only way that this is truly connected to the Age of Revelation is the fact that it's taking place during the years of Revelation. And so as we get started with this comic, we pick up with Major Domo and Mojo, the two of them having a conversation about what they're about to do. 10 years into this apocalyptic future, things for the Mojoverse are not looking good. Ever since A.K.A. detonated that gene bomb, there's been functionally no more television networks. Some studios, like Mojo's, they've been able to find ways around it, gotten by on beloved old material. But now that the power plant has consolidated control of all the industry's power, all industries planet-wide, even streamers have lost the ability to push programming. Now, they saw this coming. They were clever enough to carve out their own little private signal. The big issue is all contracts are being voided and the power is being shut off. All shows are about to be canceled. And even if Mojo wanted to do something here, what's he gonna do? It's the end of days. There's no more legal system to sue, no more government to help him out. And even if there was, he pretty much killed all of his lawyers. Now at this point, Mojo's like, we had a good run. Unless there's anything else that we can do, let me know and we'll do it. This is where Domo's like, historically, when ratings are this bad, we go back to old things. When things were really popular, when things were really banging and people were loving it. They relied almost solely on one individual who is also the star of their longest running series ever. And even Mojo's like, it was only 6 damn issues. Of course, what they're referring to is Longshot. And so the lawyer calls up Longshot and they try to negotiate a deal. They try to work out some kind of plan. Longshot and them, they agree to the terms. But to have Longshot return, it's gonna cost Mojo. This is where Mojo, he straight up murks his lawyer, shoots his head right off of his shoulders. He says, no deal. And Domo tells him, if you don't want Longshot, that's fine. But you're gonna have to find something or some other way to do this. But Mojo, he's got a trick up his sleeve. Because Mojo, he just got an idea for a brand new show. This is where we see Mojo sit down with Domo and the baby X-Men. And Mojo's damn right out of his mind, but he makes baby Wolverine the line producer, baby Cyclops the set designer, Phoenix executive producer, Colossus casting, and even Carnage is up in here. But Mojo is calling Carnage because they need a bounty hunter. They offered everyone who isn't dead a contract and they all turned it down. No money up front and royalties on the back end. During an apocalypse, nobody gives a hoot about that. And so for a cheaper price, he's gonna hire the world's best bounty hunter and then he's gonna capture all of them to do this game. Hence, Carnage. Unfortunately, Carnage is just getting taken out by the second best bounty hunter, now the first, A.K.A. Hellcat. After now claiming the bounty on Carnage and cutting Carnage's head off, we see Domo open up a doorway and he heads in to try and convince Hellcat to come work for them. Now at first she's not really convinced about this, but being able to pick her own team, finding out all of this, she's like, alright, I'm in. This is what picks us up a little bit later. We're picking up at the former Weapon X lab turned X-Men hideout. And right now, we got Bishop. Bishop with the arm of Winter Soldier. Currently blindfolded and working on breaking down a gun and putting it back to operating stance. This is where Hellcat comes into the room. And this is honestly super awesome here. So what we learn is that in this future, Bishop killed not only Strife, but also Cable. It looks like their lifelong feud finally came to an end in this Revelation future. But this also means that Bishop has a bounty on his head. But Hellcat, she's not here to collect that bounty. She's here because of Mojo. Now, she only accepted this job for Mojo because it gave her access. She plans to double cross. It's gonna bring them into the Revelation territories. They're gonna be able to blow some stuff up. She figured that Bishop is probably gonna want in on this. And so having the first member of her team, we pick up at the pop-up bar with no name. With Hellcat kicking down the door, what we find is a drunk rhino. A rhino who had his horn cut off. Now, is he sitting here being sad and miserable for himself? Hellcat, she tranks him and she drags him out. Says if anybody else wants to try to do something, this man's got a bounty on his head. I'm taking him in, and if you want to try to stop me, go ahead and try. The truth is, Rhino hasn't been the same ever since somebody took his horn. But nobody knows who did it. This is where we pick up with Kraven the Hunter. Just an absolute psychopath in this future. We see him literally grinding down Rhino's horn for special occasions, and the mother flipper snorts it. Just straight sniffing Rhino horn. Add in the fact that there are at least 4 dead Jeff the Land Sharks, sitting right next to him like, what the hell happened to Kraven the Hunter? Is this psychotic? He's just been let loose and no one is keeping him in check. But of course, they grab hold of Kraven, and now we go to Wonder Man. One of the last of the good guys, some say. The lone Avenger defending humanity at the frontier of the Revelation territories. Hellcat has come here to convince him to join up with the team. Now, the two of them, they got some history, but they're really putting this history behind them, at least for right now. With Wonder Man being the last of her team assembled, we pick up with Mojo, naming these guys the Longshots. The game is simple. They are going after the power signature in the Revelation territories, what is known as the power plant. That this will be a very dangerous mission, the largest energy signature on the planet. And the truth is, no one knows what it is. No one knows where it came from. And as he goes to let us know what the prize is gonna be, we see Bishop called off to the side. Someone hollering at him and saying, hey, come over here, I need to talk to you. Because of this, we miss out on what the prize is. Having all the rules, having all the information that they're gonna need. We see the doorway open up, and our team, they head out. So far, the streaming numbers, they're through the roof. Everyone loves the Longshots. But as we look into the crowd, this is where we see Longshot himself. And he's gotta wonder, like, can they even use that title? And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like I said, you know, anytime you got the Mojo and Mojo-verse, it's always gonna be a little bit silly. It's always gonna be a little bit out there. I mean, hell, you got the baby X-Men. It's like, how can you get any more ridiculous than that? But we also have the return of Longshot. Hell, I don't even think we saw Longshot during the Krakoan era. Maybe I missed something, but I don't think he ever really had a huge play. He was one of those characters that kind of took a back seat. You know, Krakoa only did focus on some of the big heroes and maybe introducing some new ones here and there, but not so much the deep cut heroes, you know what I mean? Now, I think this is part 10 of Age of Revelation, and so far these stories, they've kind of been all over the place. I think this is their way of trying to tell the broader story, the bigger story, the wider picture of everything that's going on, but it kind of feels like we're jumping all over the place too much. Because let's be real, you're not going to have this as a long-term event. You're not going to have this as a, 6 or 7 issues per title. So you're not going to be able to tell a huge in-depth story. In this regard, I feel like the Age of Revelation is lacking only because it lacks the ability to tell the full in-depth story of what is really happening here. And I have been critical on some of the titles, but in all honesty, once we put this all together, it'll be a pretty cool story of like an anthology series, seeing all the events happening, transpiring around the same time all over the United States, all over the globe. I think my biggest issue is a lot of these stories lack any real connectivity with the main title line. It's just all kind of loosely based. It's like, oh yeah, well, Revelation's here, it's 10 years in the future, and this is what we're doing over here. And so, at the end of the day, it just really has me wondering, had they put all of this effort into the main series line and maybe had a couple of spin-offs, you could have told a really in-depth fantastic story instead of having to sporadically have your story all over the place, hoping that at the end it comes together in one conclusive, fantastic read story, whatever you want to say. But that's just me being critical. I have hopes. I even have some confidence that this story is going to end up in a good place, and we're really going to see Cypher come out on a whole other scale. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that has been going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. That's going to get you caught up on everything happening with the Age of Revelation. Now, if you want to support the channel, you can always do so by hitting the new hype button. This button helps push us into the algorithm, but if you can't do that, you can always join the channel membership, which is kind of like Patreon, gives you a bunch of different perks. It does help us out in a lot of ways, but the free way to help us out is by subscribing to the channel, by liking the video, and making sure that you hit that notification bell so you're not missing any of the videos that we put out. With that being said, until the next breakdown.